Today in the Diz List, we share our top 5 Star Wars things we'd like to see at Walt Disney World.
Welcome to the Diz List, the podcast that lists everything in Walt Disney World. I'm Nick.
And I'm Rob, and welcome to episode 97, where we share our top 5 Star Wars things we'd like to see at Walt Disney World.
There's a lot so far, but
yeah,
I think it could be better. Mm-hmm. I know you think so too.
Oh, definitely. And I've been pretty vocal on this on the podcast in general, and my overall, I don't want to say disdain, because I don't hate Galaxy's Edge. Definitely not. There's a lot of really great things there. I think disappointment is a better word, because I just wish it was similar to what they're doing over across the road at Universal, where the Universal, I think, hit a home run, at least in the places that I have been. I haven't been to the new one. I'm going to assume, well, actually, I haven't been to, you went to the side. I've been Islands of Adventure.
Yeah, that's the one I've most recently been to, correct.
And I went to the other one where they have the Gringotts ride.
The original, yeah.
Which is incredible. Wait, I thought the other one was.
Well, I'm saying the original park.
Yeah, correct. I thought, you understand what I thought?
I do.
The original Harry Potter was, versus the original park
correct.
is.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. We're on the same page now.
Yeah, we are. I think we were on the same page, but
I got a little confused.
Yeah. I'm excited that they're leaning into it, and I think Disney needs to lean into it. I think that's why this particular show. I mean, it's an apt show anyway, because yesterday was Star Wars Day was May the 4th.
Yeah.
So, I think this is a good one to do. And I know that a lot of people don't. I shouldn't say a lot of people. Many Disney World vacationers don't necessarily go there for Star Wars, but there is a subset where that is the case.
Yes.
And I think whereas at Universal, I think they have a large group of people who go there solely for Harry Potter.
Yes. And they will dress up, and they will do the interactive wands in the storefronts, which we've done, and it was a lot of fun.
I personally think that, you look at the success, and I know people will say, well, it wasn't that successful, but it was. I think the Star Cruiser was successful. It was just that in order to run it at that level, the cast members were a huge part of that budget.
Yeah. That
they weren't. I mean, it was nearly impossible to make that much money.
And I remember hearing, and this was a shock, but not a shock, that they have an entire second cast on call, ready backstage for if someone gets sick or hurt or something, so that they can go back in. So I was shocked to hear that, but on the same token, they're kind of like understudies.
Yeah.
And people are paying thousands literally to be there. So if somebody goes down, Disney has to be ready. But especially with all the makeup, you know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. Like you look at Gaia, the performing, the performance,
and the one captain who's wearing who's totally blue.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, when you start getting into those things, it makes sense that they have to have understudies and they have to have people ready to go. I think Universal did the right thing by leaning into a property without making it kind of exclusionary, because I think that's what happened with Star Wars Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah.
Or not Galaxy's Edge, Star Cruiser. It made it kind of exclusionary.
Yeah.
I think that we needed more stuff like Galaxy's Edge. Speaking of Universal, they released their new trailer for Super Nintendo World. It looks amazing.
So I think after this came out, I feel like this is part 2 of 4 or 5, because I think they have it divided into 5 different lands.
So this is part 2.
Do we know if it's 2 of 5, or we know if it's 2 of 4? And in a minute, we'll explain what we're talking about.
I kind of looked at the first first trailer, because they've actually released 3. But the first one was kind of like an overview, and that one kind of talked about the main hub, which I feel is...
Sure.
I kind of feel it was their... So kind of, is this 3 lands now we've seen, in a way?
If we count that, I would say this is 3 out of 5.
Right.
So the first one they kind of talk about, and I can't even remember what the name of it was. It was like Alpha something. I can't even remember.
I don't remember.
But it was the kind of the main entrance area has its own theme, but not related to an IP. Second one was How to Train Your Dragon, which we did a whole Patreon on.
Yeah, that was. I mean, that was an amazing. I think that might even be better than Super Nintendo World, honestly.
Yeah,
based on what I saw.
Yeah, potentially, because I feel like there's more. Well, I don't know. I mean, we should do a whole Patreon on this one too.
Yeah, we can.
So the third one that we've seen out of 5, we believe, it was Super Mario World this week, and then.
Well, here's the thing.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you're wrong by calling it that because that's what it looks like.
I guess I'm just trying to.
No. What I'm saying to you, it's technically Super Nintendo World, but when you walk in, it should be called Super Mario, because because it's all Mario. I mean, other than Donkey Kong, which by the way, Mario is from Donkey Kong, so like kind of.
That's true.
Other than the Donkey Kong coaster, it's Mario. I guess Mario Kart is the ride,
and you and I talked about this at work the other day, that the cool thing about this land is a huge chunk of it looks like Mario, and it's like rounded rectangles.
Yeah.
And there's Yoshi and Mario Kart, but then within this same land, there's almost, I don't want to say a completely different shift, but there's a visual change where you go to Donkey Kong, where it's tropical now.
Yeah.
So it goes from just all these rounded geometric shapes, and then you walk around the corner, and then all of a sudden you have palm trees. Did you see like the bongo things? It was really cool.
Oh yeah.
I thought that looked really cool.
I don't think it looks bad at all. I think it's going to be great. My main point is, like, I feel like they could have, like, Nintendo is so much more than just Mario. And they leaned heavy on that, and it's fine. I get it, but like they could have leaned into a lot of different things. Pokemon, they could have leaned into.
If we were a Universal podcast, we could do top 5 Nintendo things we wished we'd see.
Yeah.
Or maybe a 4th part comes someday, and it's because they've talked about Pokemon.
We could have
Pokemon.
Jeez. You showed your age there. Pokemon. Pokemon.
My God, my students love Pokemon.
So
my son does too.
They could have Duck Hunt.
Yeah,
that would be cool.
Duck Hunt, Excite Bike, Metroid.
Oh my God. Jeez, now you're getting the
Mega Man. I love, but I don't know if
Mega Man.
I don't know if Nintendo owns it, but Mega Man was always my favorite.
Yeah, we're getting off the tracks, but like that. I agree with you 100%.
Or is it Mega Man?
Mega Man. Yeah, it's Mega Man.
Did I get them backwards? It's Mega Man and Pokemon, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, so do I crack up now for 30 seconds for a joke that's not funny?
Oh, no, that's okay.
Yeah.
That's the other Disney podcast.
Right.
So I know that this week you actually solidified some more of your trip plans, and you kind of changed things up. So the theme of this trip is
Changes.
Rob says one thing, does something different. That's the theme of the whole trip.
Well, to be honest, it's because it is a constant dialogue between my wife and I about what's the best idea, what's the smartest, what's the,
So here's what I think happens. And listeners, if you are listening and thinking the same thing, I'm just going to confirm for you this is what's actually happening.
Sure.
Rob has an idea.
Yeah.
Rob's wife does not like the idea, but Rob's wife decides, I will let Rob keep said idea until he naturally comes to believing what I believe is the best thing. And then when he says it, I will then agree vociferously, so that way we end up doing what I actually wanted to do, but didn't want to tell him he was wrong in the first place. Sometimes
that's true. I don't think that's the case here.
Okay.
Because she likes a lower number bottom line. She is thrifty. And when I came to her saying, hey, we can use points from our credit card and bring down the dollar amount.
Right.
She was like, oh, I like the sound of that. Whereas originally the reason we were going Airbnb was to give the kids more space and let them have time.
And sometimes, in fact, a lot of times, Airbnb can be cheaper.
Yeah,
but not Airbnb close to the park.
Right. So I still haven't said what I've done. We ended up booking a hotel that is called the Wyndham Garden. I had to think about it because they all have these similar names.
It's an off-property version of a value resort, which is a great.
It is
a great
on property because it's
okay, sorry,
kind
you're
of
right. Yeah,
well, how would you consider it?
It's on property, but it's not Disney owned.
You could probably throw a baseball or a football and hit Disney Springs from the parking lot.
Yeah, it's a Disney Springs area resort,
Right.
which I feel is a great location.
Right.
I mean, I would love to say it like Saratoga Springs sometime.
But it's actually very close to that, too. I looked at it on the
Yeah,
map.
yeah.
And Saratoga Springs is just north of the resort. It literally is. If you're looking at the map, to the right, and I'm not going to use my north, south, east, west and confuse everybody. If you're looking at a map of Disney Springs, it is right next to it to the right.
Mm-hmm.
And we watched a couple videos, and before I even pulled the trigger, I had to show it to my kids, my daughter specifically. And she watched the video with me. We watched one of those walkthroughs, and she goes, "Yeah, this is cool, Dad. Let's do this." And like that's what I needed, because she's going to be 17. Oh, wait, she is 17.
She is 17.
She just turned 17. So she's 17. My son is turning 15. I got that one right. And, you got teens who are opinionated, can sometimes be grumpy, and I want to float it by them first. And they were like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah. I mean, they could stay home.
They could.
Like, hey, I know that it's not the route you would go, but you could definitely have said, like,
I love my kids.
Like, oh, you don't like it? Cool. Guess what? You can go ahead and put availability for your shifts that week then.
Well, I think the way I was approaching this was, would she want to go this route for this hotel? Because, we also mentioned Airbnb, and we've done that before, and I wanted to see what way the kids wanted to go. And I've said this on the show, I think, that when I do my plans, although I can take over and make all the choices,
right,
I like to at least give them a little bit of input.
No, it makes sense.
Like I can use your Google form where we can rate all the rides and give it to my kids, and they can rate the rides to tell me what rides that they want to do.
Yeah.
It's not a bad idea.
It actually isn't a bad idea.
You should give that to your kids too and see.
Give them the Google form. For those of you who don't know, I'm a little bit OCD about my organization. And so when we did the whole the March Madness, I had a Google form that I created to have Rob vote so that way we could rank them.
I liked it though.
Yeah, it was good.
And it still exists. Yeah, it was just so big.
Yeah,
it was a wide form. And the form was so wide that you had to scroll back and forth. Is that right? Or is it?
No, the first one was the Google form. That was a pain. The second one was when I realized that one wasn't working as well. I just had you rearrange stuff in a spreadsheet.
Okay.
But yeah.
Anyway, so we're staying at this resort, and I'll end on this. One of the benefits is if you're staying at one of these, I'm not going to call it a resort. It's a hotel.
Yeah.
It's not really a resort. There's a pool and a hot tub, and there's cabanas.
But it's a good spot. It's a great location.
It is.
And it's what do they call them? Friends and neighbors or whatever?
Yes, a friendly, a good neighbor.
Good neighbor.
A good neighbor. So we get the benefit of getting in a half hour early.
Yeah,
and
that's
we're
huge.
saving money. So, again, to be completely transparent here, we're teachers. We're doing the best we can. We are trying to get as much as we can for our dollar for this.
It makes sense.
So that's kind of where we landed. And if you listen to previous episodes, you're like, wait a minute, I thought they were going to do this. Well, this is locked in at this point. So things that are locked in: that hotel, we have a rental car, we have our flights are locked in.
Yep.
And we have our 4 days, 4 parks.
Yeah. I think you guys are good to go.
Yeah.
And you got a good question this week from somebody that also about speaking of locking in, that's what kind of led me to remember that was that you don't. I think the question was about park reservations.
Yeah, which has changed recently. I'm going to go back into my messages here, and this is from my friend Vinny. And my friends Vinny and Brian are going down this week. And Vinny hasn't been down for a while. And the last time he went down there, it was when you had to do the park reservations.
Okay.
And I'm sure some people listening know this already, but all of our listeners
So within the last 5 years.
Correct. Yeah. So his question to me, I'll read it. It says, do I need to designate my Disney park days now, like before I get to Florida? Because in the past, that's what we had to do.
Well, yeah. It was like 4 years they did that, yeah.
And you had to go in and say, okay, Magic Kingdom is Monday, Epcot is Tuesday, so on and so forth.
Yeah, and the only people that have to do that now are annual pass holders.
Right. Because there's certain, what do they call them?
Well, they have, so they can reserve Annual pass holders can reserve. But then they have these things called good to go days. And the good to go days are like, you can just go. And then they also have like anytime after, in the afternoons, after, I want to say it's after 2:00. So whatever the old, I think it was the old park hop
time.
Yeah, the old park hop time. They can go anywhere at that point too.
Okay.
That's my understanding. I don't know. I'm not an annual pass holder yet. I mean, maybe someday. This year actually, we have a huge long break at the New Year this year coming up.
Yeah,
so
it's 2 weeks.
It's potentially maybe, if I can figure out a place to stay, maybe I upgrade my tickets this summer to annual passes, and then we can go then too. I don't know.
Well, the hotel the price is really good. I mean, you and I looked up the prices on it the other day after I booked it, and it was really reasonable.
Well, and if you're a member of hotels.com, which is VRBO, hotels.com, Expedia, and I forget. We said
I think those were the three.
There's one more.
Is there
part of the group?
Is it a car rental?
I don't think so, but it could be.
Okay.
But either way, if you're a member of, I think it's called One Key or something like that, you sign up through them and you get discounts. And that particular hotel for a week was like $1,100 for a full week. And
good.
You guys aren't going for a full week, but and even like some of the nicer ones, like the 2-bedroom over at like Wyndham Bonnet Creek, where you've stayed before.
Oh yeah, that place is great.
It was like what I think the cost would be, maybe a half of what you'd pay to stay on a deluxe resort. Which is kind of like owning DVC anyway. So I mean, I already, I look at it as I'm paying for my hotels in advance. Speaking of DVC, man, what a roller coaster that place has been. They weren't taking anything back. They weren't buying anything back. And so prices just like hit the bottom because nobody's buying them back. So I'm going to offer lower and lower and lower, and Disney's not going to steal this contract. Well, they started buying back Poly. So the Polynesian, because they're preparing to sell it, they were buying back points. And now they're going crazy. Like $200 per point for small contracts. Crazy.
Thanks.
That's insane.
What's the average? 60 or something?
No. For Poly, I would say average in the last year has been like 155.
Okay. Why did I have 60 in my head?
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah,
because that, folks.
60 is probably where like old Key West started.
Okay,
way back in 1995.
Okay, then I had heard that at some point recently.
Yeah.
Okay. Ignore that. Okay, back to your actual number.
So it's like $200 a point for small contracts. Bigger contracts are going like 170-ish, 160-ish, which is still high compared to everything else. Like I saw a contract come across my my feed because I get like emails updates because you never know when you want to add points. And Saratoga was selling for like $93 a point, which is a really good deal for I think it was 300 points. So it's so weird. Like I'm really excited for the new tower to open. It's looking better and better. I know people were hating on it originally, but I think it's going to be great. But I don't like it $200 a point. Great. I like it for what I paid for it. Great.
Well, let's see what happens with that.
Yeah, it'll be nice.
Who knows? They could all sell out right away.
Yeah. We're going to head off to the halftime show here, which is brought to us this week by Lindsay G, who's been a faithful patron of ours. And if you too would like to become a patron, you can go to www.patreon.com/DizlistPod. There, if you want to be a free member, that's great. You'll get email updates from us, and you'll get updates anytime we post something. And then if you would like to become a paid member, so we have a couple different tiers, but you can get early access to new episodes and bonus content. So we would love for you to join us there because it's a great way to keep in touch with us. It's a lot of fun. We try to
we do a new
update you.
There's a new episode every week.
A new episode every week. Yep.
Yeah,
so double your fun.
We have a regular episode, and then we do an additional episode. So
yeah,
that alone is reason to jump in.
Yeah, and at the very least, join us over there for free. So that way you can be up to date with new things happening with the show and new posts and learn some special things that are coming up over here at the Diz List. So thank you very much, Lindsay G, and we'll see you after the break. Welcome back. Today we're going to talk about the top 5 things that we wish were in the parks that had to do with Star Wars. You know, when we talked in the opening a little bit about Universal and how they've leaned into Harry Potter as a property, I kind of wish Disney would do the same and lean into the Star Wars as a property.
A little bit more.
Yeah. I know some people disagree, and that's fine. But
Well, I got some ideas that are sprinkled around, not in Animal Kingdom, but in the other parks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I
got some ideas.
Mine were in general, but some of them, I suppose some of my stuff could be in other parks. Mine was just in general.
Oh, this is going to be cool then.
Yeah.
Because ours are going to be very different in a good way.
Yeah.
This is going to be cool.
I mean, some of mine are specific.
Mine are, yeah. Well, yeah.
But when I'm saying general, I mean like they could go anywhere, and I didn't really specify where.
Sure.
But why don't we go ahead and get started?
Okay. My least favorite ride that exists in all of Disney
Mission Space?
is Mission Space.
Yeah.
Mission Space in Epcot is one of the easiest layups here. Like, the only thing that would, well, that's not true. We've discussed this before, too, and I just think in the queue, have a couple stormtroopers walking around. Outside, that already has the planets, add like a Millennium Falcon or something with a Star Wars dogfight models on the outside, and then just change the inside of the video of the ride. So you can have the orange, which is the one that actually spins around.
Would you ride it now?
If it were Star Wars?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I actually had this conversation with my wife that was like, I think I'm going to do Mission Space. She goes, no. And I said, no, you don't want me to? She goes, no, it's just, that ride is stupid. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe I won't. But like, I wanted to go back and just make sure it was stupid, and I'm sure it is. But so I may ride it.
Would you ride green then? Because
I've ridden green.
Right, but I'm saying like because you don't like spinning.
I don't know. Like if I were to do it, I would try it towards the end of the day. Like if I do spinning and I'm paying, Disney prices,
you're ruined for a day.
Yeah, I don't want to be ruined because my brain would be scrambled eggs, and I don't want that. Now, I was worried about that when we did Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, 'cause it was middle of the day.
Yeah, but I took that chance because I figured it was going to be great, and it was. So Mission Space. I almost said hyperspace.
Well, I mean I was going to say you could rename it hyperspace.
Well, that's on my honorable mention.
Okay. Hyperspace Mountain.
Yeah, because it's a layup too.
Yeah.
It already exists. So I'll get back to that later. But Mission Space and Epcot, you could retheme to Star Wars so easily. If you haven't been on the ride before, it's kind of like you sit in a cockpit and you blast off into space. There's 2 different versions of it. The green version, you just it's static. You don't move around, and you just kind of watch the video and the cart shakes, and you blast off into space.
It's still claustrophobic, man.
Very much. And then there's like a thing that goes around your face. Like, I feel like I'm wearing a CPAP mask or something. And then the other side is the orange side, and they legitimately spin you while you're blasting off. And then I just thought, just change the video. How hard is it to swap out the video and have somebody digitally animate blasting off from whatever Star Wars environment you want, and then you're out into space, and there's a dogfight happening around you, and I don't know. I think it's the easiest of updates to make.
Yeah, I think there's one easier. Okay, and that's my number 5.
Okay, perfect.
So you
go for it.
You had a layup.
Yeah,
I've got a layup.
Sure.
They need a hotel.
Oh yeah,
it already exists. Let's not make it $5,000 a night, or not a night, a cruise.
Let's just make it a straight up hotel.
Make it a hotel, man. Like
with a entrance into the park similar to what they do in California.
And if you want to do a
easy
dinner
layup, that's awesome. Love it.
You want to do a dinner show, you can do the dinner show.
Cool.
Just like they do over at Hoop-Dee-Doo.
And then you would book. Oh yeah, that makes sense.
You know what I mean? And you can
book in
there.
advance to go and see.
Yeah, go and see that dinner show with Gaia singing and stuff like that. I think that's a great way to go. I understand that it was made as a whole week-long cosplay, but it doesn't need to be.
No.
Like, do this. Like open it up as a hotel. I'll go. I'll stay there.
Sure.
Like, I'll rent out my DVC points for cash and then book a cash room.
Yep.
I understand. I fully understand that that's not something they're willing to do, and that it's not something for everybody, and that's why they're not willing to do it.
But let me just say this: it's just sitting there.
Yeah, That's why I said it's a layup. I mean,
it is. Like, why not?
Well, good question.
I don't know.
I don't know. So I don't really have much more to say because they don't even need to retheme it. I'm not talking about retheme. I'm talking about take the padlock off the doors, put cast members at the front desk.
Yeah.
Give me some towels in my bathroom, and just open it. Just do it. Like, it's there. I get that, like, it's not attractive on the outside. I get that there's not a pool there. So you dig a pool, man. I don't know. Do something.
I think they would have to add 2 things to really make it similar to the other resort hotels. And one is like a little store, because they all have a little mini store in there.
Yeah, I don't know if there even was one in there. I don't think so.
I don't think so. I think
it was like cosplay the whole time.
I think, yeah. And then the other one is just do like a food court style cafeteria thing for food, so people can get food there.
Yeah, I mean, I think that actually does exist.
Okay.
I think. I could be wrong. I'm probably wrong. But
we haven't been there. We don't know. I mean, we watched videos of it, but we watched.
Well, it only lasted it was a blink.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, it took them longer to build Tron than that thing was open.
Truth.
I mean, that's the reality of it. It's actually taking them longer to refurb Splash Mountain.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's my number 5 hotel. It's a layup. Go ahead.
Agree. I agree. My number 4 is, I don't know, I sort of hated on this ride recently, and you were surprised, but so if you take Buzz Lightyear, okay, and the Buzz Lightyear ride in Magic Kingdom, where it's just kind of a shooter, so you're already shooting with lasers, right? What if you have a blaster, and it doesn't even have to be, it can be static, they don't even have to really move that much, just retheme the inside of it into literally anything Star Wars. Every room could be a different environment if you want. It could all be stormtroopers. It could be one room could be out in space and you're shooting, the different TIE fighters. I think it's an easy, and I know I don't think you necessarily need to retheme Buzz Lightyear because Buzz isn't working. I think the ride is a little 90s for me still. Maybe early 2000s still. It needs a little bit of updating in my eyes. Maybe people listening are like, nope, I love it. It's perfect. Okay, good. But I think it's another easy one that you could retheme. And it's weird that part of this list I'm thinking, okay, what's the cheapest way? Because I think that mentality is kind of been the way Disney's worked the last couple of years under Bob Chapek. Under Bob Iger, it's a little bit different. They'll sort of invest a little bit more money, but I think it's funny that my mind is still stuck on that. It's kind of like occasionally, do you ever walk into a store and you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't bring my mask. Do you ever do that still?
No.
That very rarely I'll walk into a store and go for my mask. It's really weird. It's like this part of my brain comes back.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It happened maybe a week ago when I walked into Aldi. I was like, where's my mask? Because I would shop there all the time during COVID.
Yeah.
So that's my point. I'm reverting back to
Bob Chapek.
Yeah, the cheapest way that we can. Retheme and alter a ride.
To be honest, like doing that ride wouldn't take a terrible amount of capacity away from the park either. So it's not a bad ride to think about.
It's an omni mover too.
And you have that I don't know, cart, whatever it is you're in, right? That could be easily changed to make it feel like you're in the little pod part where Luke is down there fighting fighting with the TIE fighters. I
switch out the guns into a blaster similar to what the stormtroopers use, or Han Solo, or
whatever it is. I don't hate that idea. That's not a bad idea at all.
Yeah. So a lot of mine are sort of retheming stuff. What's an easy retheme that you could just pop right in there and make it more exciting?
Yeah, I have one that's a retheme as well, but it's not number 4 for me.
What do you have for 4?
4 is I want more approachable shops. Okay, so hear me out.
Oh, I think I know what you mean.
Yeah. So they have like the little like vendors, I want to call them, because they're reminiscent of street vendors, like in that one part of Galaxy's Edge where you're walking through. It's covered, but not. You're in the elements, but not.
Right.
You know what I'm
kind
talking?
of in the restaurant, but not.
Yeah, it's so weird right there.
Yeah.
I feel like those vendors there needs to be an actual storefront, and I want it to be themed, like heavy themed. Think like Ollivander's wand shop over in Universal.
Yeah.
But like, I don't want to have to spend $250 to go and build a lightsaber. I don't want to spend that money to go build a droid, but I want that experience. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's no reason they couldn't make a shop that's more approachable. What I mean by approachable is like anybody can walk in, take a look around, window shop, or purchase things, as opposed to I have to book an experience ahead. Yeah. I think those are great, and there's a place for it, and there's a reason that they're there. But I would like to see some more approachable. There's plenty of spots for shops over there.
Well, I'll be honest here, and this will make me look a little bad, but I'm a very honest guy. So we booked the droid experience.
Yep.
I was very grumpy, and I was very on edge when I was in there.
Yep.
Because I knew how much it costs. I knew that we were kind of being rushed through there. So it was a fun experience, and the kids were fine, but I just knew in my own head, I was like, oh my God, this is going to cost so much money. This has to be a great experience. Like, based on what you just said about an approachable store or experience, I feel like the price tag, and partially because, again, we're teachers, we're not made of money. It's kind of like, oh, sprinkle 1,000 here. Like, I can't do that. Like, if I'm booking something, like, that is a major purchase for me.
Right.
Because of our income. And we try to make it work, but we also try to do these different experiences. So for me, I was on edge the whole time. And I think I realize that's my problem, and I can kind of control my own emotions when I'm in those places.
Right.
But the stress was there because of the price tag.
You
see what I mean?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Like, there's spots over there. So, you know that little, I don't even know, I want to call it an alcove, but like over by Rise, where there's like this little diversion that you go behind this rock and you walk, and it's like a pathway.
And they have the helmets and things?
No. There's like a Coke stand. That's it. There's a push cart with selling
I know
Coke
what you mean.
And Sprite. And
we get the little thermal detonator Cokes and Sprites.
So that's the only thing on that whole path.
Yeah.
And then the path meets back up. There's no reason there couldn't be some sort of storefront over there.
Yeah.
There's no reason they couldn't put something more into those areas.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like it's a missed opportunity to sell me something.
Yeah.
Because it's all these little stands and vendor stuff. I have never, not once, purchased anything other than food inside of Galaxy's Edge.
I don't know if I have either.
Because there's not any real storefronts, and I don't.
I have one thing, but it was a gift from one of my students.
So think about how hot it is in Hollywood studios.
Yeah.
And you're always looking to get to the next air conditioning, right? That's me in Hollywood studios.
Right. Yeah.
And there's nothing inside that isn't exclusive at Galaxy's Edge. You even when it comes to food, right? Or drink. You want to get a drink in Galaxy's Edge? You want to get some food in Galaxy's Edge in air conditioning? You have 45 minutes to do so, and you better book it 60 days in advance. You want to go buy a souvenir? Well, guess what? You're not doing it in air conditioning.
I think there's one.
There is?
Doc Ondar's Den of Antiquities.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
There's one. Yeah. So that has, and it looks like, I think his name is Hammerhead or.
Yeah. Okay.
That's the one place.
I'm
not trying to call you out.
No.
I'm trying to make this.
No, you're right.
But here's the point in there, and the point in the other stores too. For me, again, besides the booking and the stressors, my issue with those is that they're so small. And when I go in, I always feel like I'm in someone's way, or like someone's in my way, so like I'm ticked off. I like to go in the stores where I can just kind of stand there and not feel like I'm in someone's way or someone is in my way. Do you ever feel like that? Like, I walk into those little mini shops in the middle of Galaxy's Edge, and I'm standing there, and then I'm a big guy. You're a big guy. We take up a lot of room.
Yeah, I feel rushed. I feel like I
feel
like I have to step 10 feet away from the shelf to like look at stuff from a distance, so I don't.
Me too.
Get in someone's way. 100%.
I wish it was a little bigger.
And look, yes, I forgot, and I did forget about Doc Ondars, but this is a theme, by the way, of all of Hollywood studios. This is not a Star Wars exclusive theme about not having approachable shops. How do you not have a toy store in Toy Story Land?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
How do you not have the toy?
Well, I think they did for a while at the exit of Toy Story Midway Mania, but I think it was closed for a while. But I'm not sure if it's open anymore.
I mean, like, how do you not have like
a giant one outside?
Al's Toy Barn.
Right.
You know,
oh my god. Oh my god.
Like it's a layup.
I know it is.
It's a layup.
It totally is.
And
my god, how do they not have that?
Where all they sell is like Disney themed games and toys. Do you know how many board games I have that are Disney themed that I've never bought one in Disney World? Because there's not really, if they had that, like,
yeah,
you know, like, or go and buy like old school Tinker toys that have Disney on them. You know, people would buy them.
Let's say they expand and they add that in Pizza Planet, which we always talk about.
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
anyway,
they have it in Disneyland.
They do. Anyway, that's my number 4. Which I'm aware that that Doc Ondars exists. You are correct, but I think they still need to have more approachable storefronts or places to go.
And it's still small in there. It's just like it's a loop. You
yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So I don't even think that counts. Like I think it does, but it doesn't. Yeah. Like there is a store, and I'm trying to remember what the name of it is. When you walk into Hollywood Studios on the left, and I was just watching
one of the ones that connects all the way to the.
I think it's the one that's separate because you can take a left, and then it is that shop on the left hand side.
Okay.
And it's like 90% Star Wars, 10% Indiana Jones on the inside.
Yep, I know exactly which one you're talking about.
That store, and that's a good one. I feel like there's a lot of room. That's a nice one. And here's the other thing that we didn't mention, or maybe we did and I missed it. That in that store, things can say Star Wars, things can say Han Solo, Luke Skywalker, Mandalorian.
Right.
In the store inside Galaxy's Edge, everything is non-movie themed. Nothing says Star Wars. It's just like it's
themed to Galaxy's Edge or Batuu.
Right.
As if you're actually on Batuu.
Right. Which is a cool concept, but at the same time, it's a missed opportunity.
100%.
Yeah. Okay, that was a lot, but definitely good. I needed to talk. I'm glad you brought that up.
So, all right, let's hear your number 3.
This one's easy. So, for as long as that last one was, this is a shorter one. Take the Indiana Jones stunt spectacular and make it the Jedi stunt spectacular.
Yeah,
and, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
because you could take a lot of that, except for the plane could be a spaceship, and they do lightsaber battles, and it's easy.
It's about as easy as it comes.
Right, and I don't even have to explain it because everyone listening immediately goes, oh yeah, that would work.
Yeah. I mean, they used to have not a stunt spectacular, but they had a stage show, and it's gone, and it's stupid that it's gone. But
it was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did your kids get to do that?
No, they didn't get to do that. And I'm not even talking about the Jedi one, the Jedi training one.
With
I'm
Darth
talking
Vader
about
comes out. Oh,
I'm talking about the other show they used to have. But yeah.
Oh, what show were you talking about?
Well, they had like a stage show just very similar, but it was without the Jedi training.
The one that's in front of the Chinese theater?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. But they also did. So there was I don't think they all were Jedi training ones. But anyway, that show, why not have that? Why not expand on that? And I agree with you 100%.
Yeah. I'm
not a big fan of that, of the Indiana Jones stunt spectacular. I've said that before.
I haven't done it in years. I'm gonna watch again when we go back.
Yeah. I might do it this summer. We'll see.
I want to try to do some things I haven't done in a while and haven't done ever.
Yeah.
So like the Buzz Lightyear in the back, haven't done.
Yeah.
Oh, I got to put that on my list. Phantasmic I mentioned in the last show.
Buzz Lightyear.
No,
Lightning
McQueen.
Gotcha.
Yeah, thank you. No, feel free. If I misspeak, it's all good.
It's okay.
I want the listeners to know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So
that was my 3. That's an
easy one.
Yeah.
That's it. I've got an easy one.
Yeah.
We already have one treehouse. Why not have another and make it the Ewok Village treehouse?
Well, that's so obvious. That's great.
So here's the thing.
But I don't know if it would work in Adventureland. Where would you put it?
I wouldn't. I'd put it in Hollywood Studios.
Oh, cool.
And guess where it would be? Literally, over top of the queue for Star Tours.
Perfect.
Because it's already built that way.
Yeah.
So you can walk amongst the AT-AT.
Yeah.
You're going from on rope bridges and
cool.
you've got
almost like a kid's play place almost.
Yeah, you've got like maybe there's a little fire down below, not a real fire, but like, and there's like
Han Solo's being cooked.
there's some Ewoks, like Ewok animatronics down there. Like I think it would be great. And there's little artifacts as you're walking through. Make it a walkthrough attraction, and people would do that. I bet you that. I would say that would be more people per hour. I bet you I bet you it would have 3 times as many people per hour as Swiss Family Robinson.
5 times.
5? Okay. Yeah. I don't know, but like you don't have to do much other than just basically build it into the queue.
Yeah.
Because the queue right there is already themed in a way to that.
And you just do kind of like a bridge that would go up and over the queue for that, and it would take you into having a designated entrance and exit. So I don't think it should be a maze. I think it should be just like a walkthrough.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. A walkthrough, very similar to what they do over at Swiss Family Robinson, or like I think. I think it's an easy layup, and I love Ewoks, so that's another reason. But I think an Ewok Treehouse walkthrough attraction would be great. So that's my number 3.
Cool.
That was also a quick one because it was also self-explanatory. Let's hear what you got for some of your big hitters here.
Okay, so this has been on my wish list forever, but I made it 2. It's not number 1 because my number 1 I think is even cooler. Longtime listeners of the show have heard me talk about this before, but if you're new, you're going to love this one. So I'm thinking, get rid of Pizza Rizzo. Okay, Pizza Rizzo's gone. That's the area we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
And there's area kind of further to the back. What I want to do is Jabba's Palace Restaurant.
So I was wondering when we were going to get to it.
So I want you to think of it like Be Our Guest, where you walk in, there's 5 different meals you can pick, right?
Yeah.
You call that a prefix, right? What do you call that?
Yeah, it's a prefix.
Kind of a quick service. What's the
prefix is when it's a fixed price. That's what it literally means.
Okay.
But like
this is, 5 different options you can pick.
That's called a restaurant.
So you press a button on the screen and then you get to go in.
Oh, like you're talking about like Be Our Guest.
Yes, yeah. So think that's exactly
like the old
what I
school
want it
Be
to
Our
be.
Guest when it was quick
This
service.
is going to be just like old school Be Our Guest. You come in, you press something on the screen, you go in, and there are 3 rooms. You can go in one of the 3 different rooms, just like in Be Our Guest.
Okay.
The main room may gross some people out, and they don't want to be in that one, and that is Jabba's throne room. So there is a giant animatronic of Jabba the Hutt just sitting there, and occasionally he will move, kind of like when you're in Be Our Guest, where the lightning will flash or something. So Jabba's just sitting there.
So Sunny Eclipse style.
Yep.
Okay.
He's in the back, and he'll laugh once in a while, but he's there.
Okay.
And that's room 1.
Okay.
If that's gross and that's not appetizing for you, you can go into.
Is Slave Leia going to be there too?
Nah, this is for all ages.
All right, I was going to say, because we're getting a little bit.
But you go in the next room, and the next room is Max Rebo Band. So the Max Rebo Band, if you know from Return of the Jedi, they are playing, and it's going to be a Chuck E. Cheese style, where they're going to be up and they're just going to do songs, kind of on a loop.
Okay.
So that is in the next room, and that one's kind of more of a bar feel, right?
Yeah.
That's the other room. And then room 3, in my opinion, all 3 are equally cool. The last and not least is the Rancor room. So you go in there, and there's a window where this all it is the head of the Rancor peeks in and looks and kind of growls and then disappears. So you got to wait for that to happen. And then you have somebody that's the Rancor keeper, who's the guy who stands there with kind of like that cloth over his head.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like the interior of a dungeon. So that you have 3 different rooms. So I've thought about this a ton.
I can tell.
Because that is my favorite part of any Star Wars movie. Probably like my favorite. It's my favorite thing in any. That's my number 1 favorite thing in any movie ever. Is Return of the Jedi. All the scene from Jabba's palace made the biggest impact on me as a kid.
I mean, it's hard to argue with any of that. I think the issue that Be Our Guest has is that some rooms are more popular than others.
Yep.
Whereas with this, I feel like you've made it so that there are attractive things for each and every one.
All 3 rooms are cool for their own reason.
Yeah. I mean, what I would love is I would love that and have them be somewhat themed wait staff.
Sure.
I know that's difficult, but like, let's get some.
They can be dressed up like Lando in his disguise. They could be.
True.
They could be dressed up like, the sky's the limit.
Yeah.
Different bounty hunters.
Yeah. I
want this more than anything at Disney.
That part of like Galaxy's Edge doesn't have a lot of food. I mean, they have some good food. Don't get me wrong, but they don't have a lot of food options. That's again a theme in all of Hollywood studios.
Yeah. But I want to put it back in that corner.
Yeah.
Pizza Rizzo's cool, but I don't know.
Well, it makes sense because you can kind of like that area right there.
Yeah.
And then you connect it to Star Tours.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's a bad idea at all. I think that'd be kind of cool. Well, I agree.
And then the last thing is we'll still have pizza there, but it'll be called Pizza the Hut.
Oh, my God.
Spaceballs.
I don't think they can do that. Yeah. I'm surrounded by idiots.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, but
no, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Okay. I'm surrounded by, but he doesn't.
You have to tell the listeners.
He doesn't. Spaceballs.
Yeah.
I can't say the actual quote.
Right.
But yeah.
Anyway, that's my dream. Number 2 is Jabba's Palace Restaurant.
Well,
I think would be so cool.
Maybe you'll be lucky. Maybe the Schwartz will be with you.
I hope so.
So my number 2 is something that is a wish in general for not just for Star Wars, but specifically for Star Wars, which is I think we need more walk-around characters.
Yes, absolutely.
Like, you look at these videos from the Frozen Land. You look at these videos from, even like Disneyland has more than we do.
Yep.
But like, so the videos from Frozen Land, you see them walk. They're citizens of Arendelle walking around.
Cool.
So why don't we have more? Is it Batuans? Whatever you want to call them. Why do we not have more people walking around? And they don't have to be necessarily related to the movies. They can just be walking around. I think it would add to the atmosphere. It'd be really cool to be walking through and seeing somebody other than a PhotoPass photographer dressed up. Because that's what you see. You see PhotoPass. You don't see no one else is really in character or in uniform.
Maybe they just have masks from the different people of the different races.
Yeah. I mean, like,
I don't want to get too crazy and talk about like what Gungans are or what. Like, I know this is sort of a general podcast, not specifically Star Wars, but there's so many different alien races that you could pop on a mask and a costume and just walk from point A and point B, change, put on another one, walk from point B to point A. You know what I mean? Just go back and forth, and it just helps the atmosphere.
I mean,
I would do that. Hire me.
We do have. It's weird because Galaxy's Edge actually has more walk-around characters than any other park.
Yep.
I think
they have the Stormtroopers. They have
Chewie,
Rey,
occasionally Mando.
Yep. They have Kylo Ren.
Yep. So they do have a lot,
before.
but I want more. Give them to me.
I've seen this, but I don't know if you have. We've never talked about this. Have you been to Hollywood Studios when they had, I'm trying to remember the name of the character. It's early in the morning. I haven't enough coffee. It is the Silver Stormtrooper. I forgot what her name
Captain
is.
Phasma?
Yes. Have you been there when Captain Phasma has led the Stormtroopers through the parks?
I've never seen that.
It is awesome. They used to do this, and they would march through, and not in... They probably changed it since they added Galaxy's Edge. It was before Galaxy's Edge, and they would march from one end of the park to the other. And everyone would have cast members say, "Nope, you got to stay over here. They're coming through. They're coming through." And they would march in formation with Captain Phasma at the front, like with her blaster.
Yes, no, awesome. I take it back. I have seen it because they were going.
Cool.
Guess where they were going? They were going to the stage show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I have seen that. I forgot.
That could come back. That was so awesome.
Listen. All of Disney needs to add more.
I know.
Walk-around characters. But Star Wars, in particular...
They need more.
100% what you just said.
Yeah.
Because stormtroopers walking through, you could have... Why can't you have somebody dressed like a
Ahsoka.
A rebel pilot?
Oh, okay. I was trying to think of the newer stuff that's going to appeal to the newer crowd. And that's another benefit with Star Wars too, is they keep coming out with new stuff. Did you see the trailer for Acolyte from yesterday?
Yeah.
I don't want to get into it too much, but my point is that they're constantly releasing new stuff.
Yeah.
So they can bring in those new characters and put those into the parks to to kind of keep everything fresh all the time.
They've done it with Star Tours. Why not do it with characters?
Yeah.
So, anyway, that's my number 2 wish is that we get some more walk-around characters.
You perfectly, since we're using the basketball analogy today, you just gave me an alley-oop here. Okay. Because you said Star Tours, and then you mentioned it a little bit earlier. Here's my idea. It's a big one. We're going to redo Star Tours into Mega Star Tours, and you're going to take the ride of Flight of Passage, and you're going to make Star Tours double, just like in Flight of Passage, where everybody comes out and you ride through in the same format. So picture Flight of Passage, only with a Star Wars video that changes constantly. And you're riding on a 3D situation just like in Flight of Passage. Can you imagine that? If you just like demolish the building, take those same videos, and you get into the little pod, and all these pods are flying through wherever, and it's rotating videos all the time on a giant screen. How much cooler would that be?
I mean, that would be pretty cool.
I would love that.
I just laughed at the Mega Star.
I don't know. What do we call it?
No. I think it's funny because like
I like Star Tours, but let's
megafy it. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Supersize it.
The exact same ride as Flight of Passage. You're just riding in, and you don't even have to stand on the back of they call them an Ecron, or I forgot what the specific term they're calling them in
Flight of Passage.
In Flight of Passage. Let's say you get into the pod similar like you do in Star Tours, but then the door opens, and then you're on the side of the building, so to speak, and you're flying through whatever the ride is.
How big is that show building for Star Tours?
Huge. But I think it's big enough. I was thinking of the show building. I mean, they'd have to dress it into something Star Wars related, but the back of that would be almost near or connected to the hotel. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
It would fit between that.
Yeah.
If you look at the footprint from above, I didn't look to research this, but based on what I know, there probably would be enough room to put a building like that there. Maybe I'm wrong.
I mean, look, they have a patent pending or something like they have a patent that they got that was for a new, they called it, or people have been calling it Soren 2.0.
Yeah, and perfect.
And I think
imagine that.
I think their plan is to use that for Coco, like you're on the back of the Alebrije.
Cool. Then let's do this too. Let's pivot the answer a little bit. It could be Flight of Passage, or it could be a soaring style ride with all the people, and do. My point is giant screen, a little bit more realistic. Not even realistic. Bigger screen. Bigger screen would be more exciting, I think, than the way Star Tours currently is in the little pod. Let's bring it to the next generation of Disney rides.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a bad idea at all. I think it's a great idea.
I would love it. It would be so cool.
And I think it kind of is a layup, not a layup, but you saw I alley-ooped you.
Yeah.
Maybe you kind of just did the same thing to me, because I want to get a ride that's also a thrill ride.
Yeah.
But I want it to be, I want to be riding on a speeder. I
thought about that too.
I want a speeder bike roller coaster.
Oh, cool.
So
similar to Tron.
Well, yeah.
Cool.
Exactly. Except for you're on a speeder bike and you're
cool.
So you bring in trees that are close to. I mean, they're obviously fake trees, so you don't have. But you're zooming through the forest.
Cool.
You're flying through the forest, and as you go by, and it could very easily be two going at the same time, like a dueling. I think it was called Dueling Dragons over in Islands of Adventure that I used to have.
That's cool.
But so you have multiple speeders going, and yes, this is a joke from the Universal reveal about there's 0 screens.
Oh yeah,
but they could have.
You said that to me the other day.
But they could have screens off to the side of something that shows quickly as you're zooming by, like a stormtrooper on a speeder.
Yeah,
and it like explodes, or they could literally have like fake. I don't want to say fake, but like instead of pyrotechnics, it could be hydro. Right, so you have like one crashes into water and you get splashed up with water.
Cool.
But I just want a speeder bike roller coaster. I don't know how we don't have a roller coaster ride from this franchise.
Well, let me expand a little bit more. they've used the speeder bike again in the Boba Fett series, where the Sand People and Boba Fett ride them through the desert.
Yes.
So it could be in a lot of different environments. Let's say you start off in the Endor environment, and somehow you do some type of jump into a different place, and now you're in the desert. I don't know. It's very, very cool.
I think I don't know why we couldn't have that. Why we can't have a speeder roller coaster. Give me a speeder bike.
Love it.
Make it a roller coaster. Think about like what they have over at in Universal with Hagrid's, right?
Absolutely.
Think about Tron. Think about these rides that they already have that kind of a feel. Just theme it to be a speeder bike, and I think it would be great.
And in the middle of the ride, it slows down, and you do a slow curve, just like they do in Hagrid's. I haven't done it. I've watched the video, but you go around and you see one of the characters from the movie. I don't know Harry Potter. Maybe you do. You kind of go inside a building, and then there's the 3-headed thing.
The dog.
People are laughing at me. I don't know. I don't hate Harry Potter. I just don't know it very well. And you go inside, and imagine if you're there and you scoot around and you see the animatronic Ewoks or 3PO is
Or I know you'd love to. It could be just Jabba. Just kidding. I'm just kidding.
It could work because Boba Fett's in that same universe, so it's entirely possible.
I don't know. I love these ideas that we've come up with. I think that Disney needs to take at least one or two of them. Come on, they're listening.
Yeah.
So we need to get some action going over there. I think they've got plenty more space too to develop in Galaxy's Edge. I think they did that on purpose.
See, I'm almost thinking now that you've changed my mind, and I want Al's Toy Barn and Pizza Planet too. Like, let's expand, because I think there's room above, or we'll say next to a Rock and Roller Coaster, and next to I'm trying to remember long ago when it was MGM Studios and we did the backlot tour, because they had the Golden Girls house there.
Yeah.
That's what I remember the most.
Yeah,
that whole area is kind of what they made into where there's like a stunt spectacular back there too, and they rethemed all that into the Galaxy's Edge and Toy Story area. But I think there's more space.
There's got to be.
But it's right along the edge of the road, though. You remember?
Yeah.
Because you can drive along and you can see Galaxy's Edge from the road.
Yeah, I understand that it's not necessarily a ton of room, but there's room. There's got to be room.
Well,
I've got a spot for it. Just take out Indiana Jones Stunt Spectacular.
Yeah.
Like,
well, that's
boom, done.
That's where I wanted to do Cars Land, but I think that's going to end up over in Magic Kingdom now.
Yeah. So, do you have any honorable mentions?
I do. One we mentioned was Hyperspace Mountain, which is an overlay that they do on Space Mountain out in California, which I think would be easy to do. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not an Imagineer, but I think that could be something they could do, or at least an overlay for Orlando as well. And then I was thinking of Smuggler's Run. Just maybe every year they have a different mission. It'll make me want to go back, because I don't love it. You don't love it either. But what if you knew that every year Smuggler's Run had a new game, and it wasn't, the coaxium and the same route that you go. You have some programmer who programmed the original one, goes in and just puts in a new game board, quote unquote. You can even keep Hondo. Like, Hondo's a cool character.
Yeah.
And just like, it's going to be always the same dumb thing for me. No offense if you love the ride. I don't. I like being in the Millennium Falcon, but that's about it. So if you put in a new game or a new level every year, I'd want to go back.
Yeah, I mean, I'm torn on that ride. I don't like it. Certainly, I shouldn't say I don't like it. I don't love it. I like the idea. I don't like the execution. I don't enjoy that 6 people have to work together. I mean, I don't mind teamwork, but like, your experience can be totally different depending on who you're with. It's a ride that like I'll do this summer, because this summer I'm going to have 6 people. But if it's just 3 people, 4 of us, whatever.
What if it wasn't a win or lose? What if it's just you get to do stuff for X amount of time? And if you kind of crash a little bit, cool. The people in the back who have buttons, maybe who knows?
I think it should also, I feel like the story should change depending on what happens.
Sure.
And I don't feel like that Like you hit the wall, the game just pushes you off the wall, and now you're flying again.
Mm-hmm.
You run into something. So I just wish it was a little bit different. I'm with you. I agree with that being an update.
Or let's say there's 4 missions and you select a mission when you get in.
Yeah, I mean
but that
makes it even harder because if you have 6 people, if you don't have 6 people, then who's going to make that choice?
That's true. That's fair. So it'd have to be randomized.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think 1 a year is a good.
Yeah,
you know,
I would like
every
to see,
May 4th it changes and there's a brand new one.
So I would like to see the honorable mention. I was going to say was there needs to be more overlays in general. So like. You just took the words out of my mouth, May the 4th. Like, why don't we get Star Wars related overlays on May the 4th?
And then have it for the same amount of time that you do the Christmas overlays and the Halloween overlays.
I don't know, the same amount of time. My goodness. They last.
Or at least a month.
Yeah, sure. I mean, that's fine. But like.
Or May and June.
You look at Haunted Mansion and it's.
Huge chunk of time. Just because
especially
it counts as Halloween and
Christmas. Yeah. So I think it'd be great to have some overlays, some Star Wars overlays. That's really the only one I thought of. One other thing I would say is a sit-down restaurant would be cool. That's an honorable mention. I don't consider the Cantina to be a table service restaurant, even though it is table service. Like as far as like you have to get reservations and whatnot, I would like to see a table service restaurant over there.
Place your vote for Jabba's Palace.
Yeah, there we go. Mm-hmm. So that was my honorable mention. So you kind of took that one. But this has been fun. I think all things Star Wars are fun, and I think that we need to add more Star Wars. I also think that they are missing the boat by not adding different lands that are movie specific. I know we've beat that dead horse. We've talked about that a number of times.
Yeah, it's been said in the company that this maybe wasn't the best option.
Right. Yeah, and I would agree with them because Star Wars fans, being what they are very, very specific, are very, very particular, and maybe that's why they didn't, because they were afraid that anything they got just a little bit off, people were going to flip out about. But I don't know. We'll see. You got Universal over there building the Ministry of Magic inside of downtown Paris. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that's not anything like the movie. So, it is what it is. But we're going to head off here. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you want to support us, you can head over to magicmerch.art, or you can go to patreon.com/DizlessPod. Make sure you're following us on social media at DizlessPod. Leave us some messages because we got our 100th coming up. We're going to be reading some of those messages on the air.
Yep.
So make sure you're doing that. And if you've got show suggestions, we love show suggestions. So send us those. You can send us those on social media through Patreon, or you can email us at dizlesspodcast@gmail.com.
Just don't yell really loud because I don't have great hearing.
No. Yeah.
Here's a great show idea.
Yeah.
I won't be able to hear you.
Shout us out. But thank you so much. And it's been a great, big, beautiful tomorrow, and tomorrow's just a list away.
Tune in next time, and we'll see you real soon.